Every day in this country, 14 workers are killed on the job. Every day we encounter employers who cut corners on the safety and health of their workers, children who have lost parents, or parents who have lost children from workplace injuries. Workers are fired for voicing safety and health concerns. Companies subject workers to known hazards, while the courts spend years deciding contested citations, and our nation's workforce protection agencies are plagued with outdated laws, tools, and penalties that make it difficult to deter safety and health violations. During the time that I've been Assistant Secretary for OSHA, 54 workers have been killed in explosions at the Clean Energy Power Plant in Connecticut, the Tesoro Refinery in Washington State, the Upper Big Branch Mine in West Virginia, and on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig. We add their names to the long list of recent disasters, like the explosions at the BP refinery in Texas, the Sago and Darby mines in West Virginia and Kentucky, and the Imperial Sugar Plant in Georgia, where dozens of workers were killed and hundreds more injured. But only disasters make national headlines. What is not widely publicized are the more than 5,000 other workers killed on the job in America each year. These tragedies happen in every corner of the country, usually one at a time, far from the evening news and the morning headlines. Secretary of Labor Hilda Solis's vision for the Department of Labor is good jobs for everyone. Good jobs are safe jobs, and we want to do more to make our nation's workplaces safe. I therefore want to congratulate you, Mr. Chairman, and all the co-sponsors of the Miner Safety and Health Act for recognizing not only that the nation's 350,000 miners desperately need better protection, but that this nation's 135 million workers who are covered by OSHA also need better, more up-to-date protection. The Miner Safety and Health Act makes critical amendments to the Occupational Safety and Health Act, which has not been significantly updated in 40 years. This legislation would increase OSHA's civil and criminal penalties, enhance whistleblower protections and victims' rights, and give OSHA the authority to require abatement of serious hazards, even if and while the employer contests citations issued for them. These provisions are strongly supported by the Obama administration. Safe jobs exist only when employers have adequate incentives to comply with OSHA's requirements. When employers' voluntary efforts are not enough, swift, certain, and meaningful penalties provide an important incentive to do the right thing. However, OSHA's current penalties are not large enough to provide adequate incentives, especially for large employers. As a result, unscrupulous employers often consider OSHA penalties the cost of doing business. It is more cost-effective to pay the minimal OSHA penalty than to correct the underlying health and safety problem. The Miner Safety and Health Act makes much-needed increases in OSHA's civil and criminal penalties. Nothing focuses attention like the possibility of going to prison. This bill would make it a felony with up to 10 years in prison when an employer knowingly violates an OSHA standard which causes or contributes to the death of any employee. Good jobs are also jobs where workers' voices are an essential part of the conversation about creating safe workplaces. Since OSHA cannot be at every workplace all the time, we rely heavily on workers to act as our eyes and ears in identifying hazards. If employees fear that they will lose their jobs or otherwise be retaliated against for participating in safety and health activities, they are not likely to do so. The OSHA Act states that a worker may not be retaliated against for reporting injuries, illnesses, or unsafe conditions. Unfortunately, there are serious deficiencies in this law. The Miner Safety and Health Act better protects workers who refuse to perform tasks they reasonably believe could result in serious injury or illness to themselves or to other employees. The Miner Safety and Health Act would also expand the rights of workers and victims' families and establish a family liaison in each OSHA area office to keep victims informed of the status of investigations and enforcement actions and to assist victims in asserting their rights. This will help our investigations, since victims and their families are often the source of useful information. One of the most significant changes that this legislation makes to the OSHA Act is the provision that requires abatement of serious, willful, and repeat hazards during the contest period. Currently, if an employer contests an OSHA citation, that employer is not obligated to correct the hazard during the administrative contest period, leaving workers exposed to serious or deadly hazards for months or even years. The Miner Safety and Health Act would enable OSHA to issue failure to abate notices to a workplace with a citation under contest. It is important to note that this legislation also safeguards the rights of employers. by allowing an accelerated appeal to the Occupational Safety and Health Review Commission. Mr. Chairman, in the months that I have been at OSHA, I've spoken with children, spouses, and parents of workers who have been killed on the job. The one thing they ask is for our laws to have the best possible protections to prevent more workers from leaving their loved ones behind. We applaud the important work this committee has done in drafting the Minor Safety and Health Act, and we look forward to working with you on it. Thank you for inviting me to testify. I'm happy to answer your questions.